Thanks, Carrie. Hey, it's great to be here with everybody. And, as we approach the future of work, we all know lots of skills, problem solving, creativity, collaboration, teamwork. But we may not quite know what the jobs of tomorrow will be. We know that one of the key things is it's going to require us to think different. So I'm going to share a little bit about how we can do that as we kind of shift from survival to disruption. And I thought the best way to start would actually be by sharing a personal story. So, my career, Starbucks, the coffee shop, they had actually gone to China, didn't wasn't very successful, left, but it was a market they wanted to get back into. And so they asked for my help and how to do that. Now, Starbucks is a very successful coffee company. They have over 5,000 stores worldwide. They know how to do this, some localization, but they had a lot of trouble with the Chinese market. If you think about it, historically, China's been like a tea drinking society, not coffee drinking. The average cup of Starbucks coffee is actually a bit expensive for the Chinese market, like the average person. So there's a bit of several disconnects here. So working through this and trying to figure out what we could actually do, I started thinking differently about it and applying some of these skills we actually need for the future of work. And one of the big things we tend to forget is that Starbucks is actually about selling an Italian barista experience. Well, in China, most people really haven't been to Italy, and because they're not coffee drinkers, may not be that familiar with the barista experience. But what they do know is the United States. And so what we wound up actually doing was repurposing that Italian barista experience and transforming Starbucks into an American experience. So it's not so much about coffee and the aromas and stuff, but getting a kind of a slice of that life in America, which is a bit different, especially when it comes to like food and beverage in China, where that has certain cultural connotations and it's considered, an experience and things you do. It actually offers them something different. And of course, we got to think about, well, then who do we target? Given the price point, the supply chain. A long story short, we decided the best sense would be to target a big city, start off with a place like Shanghai, and target young working professionals because they have disposable income and they're more exposed to, American culture. Well, that proved to be quite a successful model as there were over 1,000 people waiting in line 24 hours before the store was to open. And today, Starbucks has a very successful product line in China. So much so that they actually now allow their new recipes, even some of their new offerings like their roasteries, actually now start in the Chinese market. But this is a great example of showing how we can apply the critical skills we're going to need for any type of future work job. Again, problem solving, creativity, the soft skills like creativity, collaboration, a little bit of emerging technology tools to allow us to actually think differently. And that's where real innovation actually lies. And I know that everyone's thinking, okay, great, I get that. Everyone says to unlock these secrets, you got to think differently. Well, no one tells you how to do that. And I'm not Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, where I just get those aha light bulb moments to figure things out. Well, I'm going to lay something down that might you find surprising. These light bulb moments don't actually just magically come as an epiphany. They're actually a series of dots. Basically, think of it as information and experience we're collecting. And it's only when that last dot comes to us, we finish connecting everything together, and we see the picture that we get the aha moment from the light bulb. To show you what I mean by that, I want to take us back in time to the 1870s and the invention of the movie camera. So you may not be familiar, but it actually started because of a bet on horses. So Leland Stanford, who is the founder of Stanford University, made a bet saying that when a horse gallops, when it runs, essentially, all four hoofs can be off the ground. And the other person said, no, one hoof always needs to be on the ground. Well, it's on Leland to prove that he's correct with the bet. Now, remember, this is the 1870s, so it's not so easy to try and prove something like this. So he actually went and saw a scientist by the name of Edward Boudet. Edward thought about it and came up with an experiment. They went out to a field, they set up 100 cameras and had a person at each camera, because it's the 1870s, it's all manual. And they had a horse gallop by. And the cameras went off in succession, 1 second apart from each other, and then a stack of 100 photos. And going through it, they find a picture of all four hoofs off the ground. Leland's like, yes, I win my bet. Runs off to collect his money. Edward, though, is like looking at this. He's like, huh, when I flip through the pictures, it's like I've seen the horse gallop. Somehow through static images, I've created motion. Winds up inventing the movie camera and helping to pioneer the entire film industry. Now, how is it that two people trying to accomplish the same goal come up with such different outcomes? I kind of call this the original data science challenge, right? Leland was so obsessed with trying to win his bet. He was just trying to find that one data point that proved him right. Whereas Edward, because he's not going to win any money, could actually look at each of the photos, each data point in an aggregate, and actually draw insight from that. When you think about seeing all those dots and connecting them together, that's exactly what Edward was able to do to invent the movie camera. And that's the secret of how we actually think different. So throughout my career, I've been able to do this. And now I share this with other people, but I have a framework that I call Tekpo. So if you want to be in prime position for the future of work, Tekpo is a really useful methodology for you to apply basically in any kind of job. And Tekpo stands for think different, understand different, create different, be different, own different. It's a soup to nuts framework from ideation to actual implementation and launch and infrastructure and success. And it really helps us see those dots so we can create that aha moment. Obviously, I don't have time to go through the whole thing, but focus on the one key thing I'm saying is think different for necessary for the future of work. Well, that's the ideation. And we can look at things like, can we repurpose, multi-purpose something? You think about a lot of the technology we have to clean up oil spills, like in the ocean, that actually started from DuPont. Actually, an engineer about 42 years ago now brought this technology forward because there was a massive oil spill off the Alaskan coast. Exxon couldn't figure out how to clean up fast enough, and he came up with this little like, kind of a bubble technology, worked like a charm. And they're like, how in the world did you figure this out? And he's like, well, this is how we clean up oil, or how we clean up chemical spills at DuPont. I just figured oils that are chemical. He was right. Repurpose, multi-purpose. Second technique you have is the challenge assumptions. You think about like ride share or even things like Zipcar, they challenge the assumption that people need to own cars. And what we learn? Well, we don't. And the third technique is, well, cultivate a different perspective. That's the hardest one for us to do. As you saw with my Starbucks example, shifting from an Italian barista experience to an American experience, how successful that can be. And I can tell you that no matter what kind of job you're in, what kind of industry you're in, what kind of role you're in, you can actually apply this framework to be a creative problem solver, to enable teamwork, to be ready for those future work jobs. Because I've been able to bring this and use this and help Disney, identify and execute the Marvel acquisition. I use this in helping develop our current AI wave, my work back in the days with IBM Watson. I even brought this to the United Nations and helped actually create the AI for Good initiative. I also brought this forward to combine art and technology to drive sustainable development goals. So there's hope for each one of us, especially when it comes to the future of work. So don't be too worried about what the jobs might be. We know what the skill sets are going to be. And that's going to be thinking different. So keeping the lights on isn't going to keep you safe. Don't be afraid to take that risk and come up with some disruptive ideas. And I love this quote from Milton Berle that if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. That's what we do as great entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs. So with that, I hope my little talk here helps inspire you and helps you get ready for the future of work because, well, it's already here. Thanks, everybody.